Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the March 2021 Advanced Learning Library Board of Directors meeting. We do have a quorum at this time. Others will no doubt be joining us shortly, but we'll go ahead and get started to respect your time. At this time, we will call the meeting to order. The first item on the agenda is to approve the agenda that was included in your packet. Is there a motion to approve the agenda as presented?
So moved, Chuck here.
We have a motion by Chuck and a second by Jonathan. Is there any other discussion? If not, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimously. Next on the agenda will be public comment. Is there anybody from the public to comment today? Seeing and hearing of no one, we'll go on. Next item will be the approval of the minutes of the February 16th Board of Directors meeting, as again, it was presented in your packet. Is there a motion on the floor to approve the minutes as presented?
Chuck, so moved.
This is Erin. I'll move.
We have a motion by Chuck and a second by Aaron. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Is there any unfinished business before the board? I hear of none. Next item will be new business. First item of new business will be the finance report and bills for February 2021. I'll go ahead and give the information on behalf of the committee. The general fund bills this month were $656,521.08. The grant fund bills were $16,833.59. The gift and memorial fund bills were $7,978.77 for a total for the month of February of $681,333.44. All of these items were in your packet. I looked through and on each line item and did not see anything out of order. I have also asked the director if there was anything that should be brought to the attention of the board, and there is none. So if there is a board member out there who has any questions or comments regarding the February bills, please make your comment or question known at this time. Hearing and seeing of none, I will make a motion that we approve the bills in the amount of $681,333.44. Is there a second?
This is Erin. I'll second.
Thank you, Aaron. We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of approval, please signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. At this time, I would like to introduce Council Member Cindy Claycomb, who is our special guest today, and she will be giving us some information as to the potential timeline and process that the Board of Directors may go forward with the naming of the Evergreen Community Center. Councilmember Claycomb, welcome. And I'm going to turn it over to you to tell us what you would like us to know.
Thank you, Kevin. Thank you all for providing me the opportunity to come and speak with you today. As you know, City Council approved that this board, the library board, be the naming committee for the new Evergreen Community Center. And the Community Center is an integration of the neighborhood center and the library, along with some additional nonprofits that are going to co-locate into that building to create a community center. And so I just wanted to give you some of my thoughts as you guys move forward as the naming committee, things that we've thought about in terms of the naming of this facility, and then answer any questions that you might have. Kevin or Christy, did they get a did the board get a copy of the Evergreen Center revitalization, the one pager?
Yes.
Okay.
In the board packet, there's a memo, and attached just after that is an Evergreen Center revitalization sheet. It's a double-sided sheet.
Yeah. Yes. Thank you. Okay. Great. So you guys have an overview of what we plan to do at this community center. So I think what's really important when I think about this is that thinking about a name as we move forward, that the name incorporate or recognize that the community center is in the neighborhood and will serve that neighborhood, and more generally will serve the larger community. But I think it's important to find a name that is representative of the community, the neighborhood in which that building sits. And if you look at that building on the front of that, one pager that you have, that shows the picture of the front of the library. And so I think thinking about the cultural relevance of that particular library branch, you can see it on the represented on the outside of that building. It's a beautiful building, and we hope to take that cultural relevance into the inside of the building. So as you think about the name of that building, the name of that new community center, thinking about that we want it to be a very culturally inviting facility. If the facility is named after a person, which is something that you could elect to do or elect to recommend to the city council, again, thinking about some cultural or neighborhood representation. If it is decided that it's not named after a person, again, still taking those cultural or neighborhood representation into account. We have just in kind of informal conversations with people, and we have done some little naming exercises with groups. The name Evergreen has continued to resonate with people. So I don't want us to think, well, we just have to rename it totally, that Evergreen couldn't be part of that. It certainly could, but I would rely on the input you guys get from the community as we move forward. We Denise Peters, I don't know if you know her, but she is our project manager on this project of renovating the facility, and she has put together a poll like you guys use for the Walters branch, so that can go out to the community and so that we can gather information for you to consider. I know that Director Christy Dow and the community service rep Anna Lopez, who works at the neighborhood center, and Ann Ethan, who is the branch library at Evergreen, that they have put together a plan of how we can make sure that we engage the neighborhood to get the information that will be helpful to this board as you begin to think about how you formulate a name and advance suggestions to the city council. So I'm going to stop there and just see what questions you have, what would be helpful to you. I know Kevin mentioned that I would talk about a timeline. I would kind of like to know from you, and I know Christy and I have talked a little bit about this, about when does it make sense to really kick this off, and when does it make sense to say, okay, we need to have this to city council for at a particular time for a vote. We plan to open this facility the end of this year, sometime around November, I think, is early part of November is the last timeline I saw. All right, so I'll open up for questions. Or Christy, anything else you want to add?
Yes. I think that they were saying that we had a date of by December 3rd, the facility would open, but the construction company thinks that they may beat that deadline. So you're correct, and somewhere in that fourth quarter range. And I think that this time we want to just make sure we have enough time for each stage of the process and think through what we want that process to look like. And that's where we would also like to have your input on the process that we take to get to that recommendation for City Council. So, Jonathan Winkler is our lead for the library board on this naming advisory.
Let's open it up to any questions from any of the board members on this call. Does anybody have a comment or question for Councilmember Claycomb or for the board or for Jonathan? I'll start off with a comment. Councilmember Claycomb, thank you again for being here. I would anticipate that since we have already identified a lead, that our lead, Jonathan Winkler, can visit directly with the members of the community that have already done some work in getting to this point. My question is going to be, he's going to work with them and report back to us and give us a better idea as to the timeline and the process. How would you like to be involved with this going forward?
Yeah, I would like, as much as possible, I'd like to be kept informed of the process that you're using and the progress that you're making. If I can make it to board meetings, I'm happy to do that. But if there's another way, you know, either through email or telephone conversations, we could do it that way also. Does that answer your question?
It does, and I'll point out, I think going forward, I would anticipate that Jonathan will be giving us a report as to the progress at each of our board meetings. You are certainly welcome to attend in person or by Zoom any of those meetings, and we would actually appreciate if you did it, if you had the time to do so.
Okay.
Because we would love to have your input going forward.
Okay. All right. I'll get those on my calendar. And if we are finished with city council meetings, I'll plan on joining.
Thank you. Any other comments, questions for any of us from the board? I know we have kind of a smaller board today. We only have the minimum members for a quorum, and we're missing some folks for vacations, but happy to entertain any questions or comments.
Chuck has his hand up.
Who's that?
Chuck.
Chuck.
Yeah, Kevin, I'm thinking the process we used for the Ron Walters branch was pretty good. Maybe we just use that same or very similar process for this one.
Okay.
Jonathan,
Jonathan?
I have been thinking about this as a starting point, yes. But with some changes, such as taking 2 months of, instead of one, to gather names. And when we get to the point of narrowing down the suggestions, we ask people to rank their choices instead of picking just one. That will address the city council level that we would put forward Walters, the same as we did that, despite it being the third of three choices.
Okay, thank you. Chuck, I agree with what you were pointing out. I think having the experience from the Dr. Ronald Walters library issue, that we will have a more streamlined and maybe a few less bumps in the roads this time around. One of the things I'll point out is if we are talking to the community and getting their input as to potential names, that we make it very clear from the beginning that this is not an official vote. And we do not want to corner ourselves into a position of releasing information as to how many or which names received how many votes, because we cannot control the voting mechanism to see if people voted more than once. And we want to make sure that because we feel that we are out there and inclusive and widespread in our efforts to get names from the public, we have to admit that we are not touching everybody and we're not getting input from everybody. So as long as we are clear up front that it's not a highest vote getter is going to be the recommendation from the board to the city council, I think we'll steer clear of any controversy from that standpoint.
Kevin, Chuck again.
Yes, sir.
I agree with pretty much what Jonathan said. I mean, we've got more time this time. We were a little rushed on the Ron Walters, so we can take our time and be a little more thorough. I think it would be helpful if someone could do a little bit of research and send out to us the history of that area. Those of us who are not native Wichitans really don't understand the area that well. And I think that would help us a lot. Maybe somebody at the library staff could put something together that kind of explains that to us.
Good idea.
Good idea.
Christie's nodding her head. We can get that together and get it to the board and to Councilmember Claycomb as well. And I would anticipate that at the next board meeting that Jonathan will have his first report to this board. And by that time, he will have had an opportunity to put some things together, run those by Councilmember Claycomb, and then we'll go month to month.
And
Yes.
Kevin, if I might add just a few
Sure.
or comment on a few things. So I really like the ideas that you guys suggested today, the gathering of potential names over a 2-month period. I think that's a great idea. I like that idea of ranked choices and not necessarily showing the number of votes, because as you said, I could vote 5 times, right? And skew that. But I think the idea of ranked choices and having people have that ability is great. And Chuck's idea of the research, I think that'll be really important for this group, because I anticipate that you are going to receive names of people for this facility to be named after, and it will be very helpful to understand the history of the area so that you can figure out, do those names make sense or not? I also know that, and Christy and Anna can work with Jonathan on this, but really rely on staff at the neighborhood center and the library to help us with getting the word out. One of the so this is not a criticism of your board, okay? But one of the criticisms that we heard at City Council was there were people who didn't use social media and they didn't know about the process. So Christy and Ann and Anna have talked about other ways of getting this information out. For example, we have a lot of people that come into the library now, the temporary library location, and the neighborhood center, and even the rec center at Evergreen, that they might not be big social media people, but they would fill out a pencil and paper form. And so having that possibility, of course, the social media, as you guys did, and then they have some ideas for some other media, particularly in that neighborhood. Spanish language radio is very popular, and Anna has, she goes on a show every other week and does an update about what's going on in the city. So just getting some of that promotion out there that I think will help drive people to provide naming ideas to you.
Very good. Thank you.
Yes. I really like that idea of working with the Spanish community and the language media.
Very good. I'm very confident that we have the right lead for this job on this board, and we appreciate Jonathan's volunteering to be that person for us. Any other questions? I don't see anybody's hand raised. Very good.
Cindy, I have a question. When would you like to see this go to city council? Because there is some steps that have to be followed in order to get it on the agenda. Would you like to have the name prior to November, when we could possibly be opening? So kind of working backwards in the timeline as well for when we want that, that recommendation to be put on the city council agenda.
Yeah, I'm thinking, I think that it would be nice to have it before we open, because I think it would give us another point of celebration for the facility, which we're looking for, you know, those kind of points where we can really engage the community and get them excited about what we're doing. I'm wondering, we're in March now. Christy, how long does it take? Once the library board would come with their recommendation, how long then does it take to get on a city council agenda?
It has to be on 2 weeks in advance. So, I mean, at least 2 weeks prior to the date we want it to be on the agenda, and assuming there's no issues and it doesn't get bumped or something.
Right. So kind of off the top of my head, and you guys could change this if it doesn't quite work out, but I'm wondering maybe late summer. Does that?
Personally, Cindy, I was thinking September 1st.
Okay.
I can't imagine that it would take any longer than that. We've got plenty of time to get all of this ironed out and the procedure and process in place. That would be my guess and recommendation if unless anybody objects.
So I would say that the library board should at least be making their decision at the August board meeting in order to get it on a city council agenda in September.
Let's go for that. And if anything needs to change, we'll all be able to make a decision and move the time frame as needed. We're all able to be flexible, I'm sure. So sounds good.
That's
so
great.
August board meeting for September 1st or shortly thereafter for the city council.
And Chuck has his hand raised.
Chuck?
Yeah, one quick point. We did this the last time. Let's make sure we contact the schools, particularly in that area, soon, because they're going to be out of school in a couple of months. And so let's get their feedback too, and let them get involved in it.
Yeah.
Very good. Thank you.
We have a really long list that we've made of ways to get the word out, and I'll get that list to Jonathan. So then if there's things that we need to add to that list, then we can do that as we start out too.
Okay, anybody else? Councilmember Claycomb, any final words?
I just want to thank you, the library board, for taking on this task and for Jonathan taking on the lead position. I really appreciate that. I'm so excited about what we're doing in this new community center and that the library is such an integral part of it. And again, I really appreciate your assistance on this.
Thank you. We appreciate your working with us, and we appreciate what the council has been able to do to earmark monies for that area. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Next on the agenda will be the appointment of the nominating committee for the library board of directors for 2021-22. In the past, we've had a nominating committee of 3. Last year, it was Shannon, Tadana, and Jonathan. Is there any board member that would like to volunteer to serve on the nominating committee for this year?
Jonathan.
Chuck has his hand up.
Chuck?
Oh, and Jonathan.
Jonathan volunteers.
Okay, we've got Jonathan. Chuck, couldn't hear you.
I just forgot to lower my hand. That was for me.
All right.
Got it.
Thanks, Chuck. So far, we have Jonathan. Is there anybody else that would like to volunteer?
I don't mind serving again.
Thank you, Tadana.
I would serve again. This is Shannon.
Thank you, Shannon. I would suggest we close nominations. Thank you for volunteering. Christy will be in touch with you as to the time frame to get information out and canvass the board members as to who would be willing to be an officer.
Do you need to vote on it?
Do we?
I don't know.
Probably.
I'm not sure, just to make sure.
You know, let's just be safe. The nominating committee is appointed would be, and volunteers would be Shannon, Tadana, and Jonathan. Is there a motion to approve this committee?
Chuck,
I'll
so
make-
move.
We have a motion by Tadana, a second by Chuck. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 That was motioned by Donna.
Oh, Donna, I'm sorry. We have that corrected. Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Next on the agenda will be the support organizations. Special committee reports, but we have none. And then support organization reports. Amanda, you're with us. How are you today?
Hi, I'm good. How are you?
Very good. You have the
Sorry.
floor.
Sorry if you can hear my dog barking in the background. I was hoping she'd stop before it was my turn. But so we just have a few things that we're focusing on this month, specifically the virtual book sale that's coming up. The pickup date is March 27th, that Saturday, but we're starting to sell books on the 19th through the 25th. So a lot of our efforts are going to be stuffing all the bags and working in the back room with all the genres and, you know, getting all, as the orders come in, getting those ready for pickup on the 27th. We decided that it'd be $10 a bag like last time. But one of the new things that we're doing this time is to do like a donated bag. So instead of taking the bag, you can select a certain charity, like organization that you can send the bag to, and we'll donate that bag. So that's kind of a fun thing that's a different thing. And then also our efforts are, you know, we're continuing to develop a plan to reopen the bookstore soon. So we're excited about that. That's
Very
it.
good. Thank you very much. Any questions for Amanda? Hearing none. Thank you, Amanda.
Thank you.
Christy with the foundation. How are you?
Doing great. It's good to see everyone. I have a short report as well. Our main focus at the foundation is in fundraising, and specifically for Library Giving Day. And that is a nationwide celebration that this year will be celebrated. It's a celebration of public libraries, and this year it will be celebrated on April 7th. We are doing a lot of cross promotion with both the library and the Friends of the Library. So thank you very much for that opportunity. Sean is going to be helping us distribute bookmarks to promote Library Giving Day to customers, and then we'll also have posters in all of the branches. And we weren't able to do that last year because the library was closed in April, if you'll remember. So we're really looking forward to being able to do more publicity in each branch. The Friends have done a fantastic job of helping us this year with Library Giving Day. They have given us a $2,000 gift. It will be the lead gift, and we will use it to leverage the gifts of the community. So when we begin promoting Library Giving Day, we'll already have that $2,000 gift. Our goal for the entire fundraising project is $12,500, and that money will go to children's literacy, and specifically the Kansas Reads to Preschoolers program. We will buy books for next year's summer reading program, and those dollars will also go toward the Young Artist Exhibit for 2022. And the library would also like to purchase Vimeo, which is a platform that provides high definition video across all devices. So that'll be really, really helpful for all the virtual programs they will be doing this summer. But the overall idea is just to be better prepared and have more financial resources focused for kids. We feel like there's a gap right now for kids because of COVID over the last year, and we're hoping that the library can help fill that gap with some of the money that the foundation will be able to raise. So short and sweet this time, but thank you all for all you do to help the library, and special thanks again to the Friends and to Sean specifically at the library for helping with the cross promotion.
Very good, thank you. Any questions from the board for Christy? Hearing none, thank you, Christy. Next would be genealogical with Julie Crawford. Is Julie here today?
Yes, I'm here.
Hi, Julie.
Hi, everybody. Good to see everybody. Mine's pretty short too. Our meeting in February that we had with Prissa Barnes about the Dockham drugstore sit-in was a big success. We actually filled up our Zoom room, 100 people. And I mean, it fluctuated between about 97 and 100 throughout the meeting. And then at the end of the meeting, there were still 84 people. And I think that is fabulous. And in fact, this is one that we have put on the website that people can see for free. It was the February event, and it's a Wichita event. So, and we're putting a few others that are free for a while, but other presentations, it's kind of up to the speaker to just have a membership audience to review that video. So if you missed the video, if you missed the presentation, you can look at the video. Just go to the website for Wichita, GENSOC.org. In the past, we have been very successful at having educational classes at multiple levels, beginning, intermediate, and we're going to do one again this year in April, actually at the end of March and April. It's just 2 days on Genealogy 101, and it's on Zoom. And that's one way that we can get new members to come in, because it's only for members. And then in March, in a few more days, our speaker will be our president. She'll be talking about clustering your DNA matches so that you can narrow down which of your matches are in which lines. And it's kind of an industry or a science that's taken off a lot lately, and she'll be walking us through ways to do that. And the last thing is, I'm really pleased about the number of people that we have as members. It has been it's maintaining. It fluctuates by 2 or 3 or 4. And considering we're not even meeting in person, I think that having 168 constant members is great.
Sure is.
So.
Thank you, Julie. Any questions for Julie? You guys are doing great work there. Keep it up. We appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, that will take care of the support organizations. Now we have the Director of Libraries report. Christy, it's all yours.
Okay. I have several facilities things to report on. For the Evergreen remodel, the Van Asdale Construction Company was chosen following the bids. They were awarded a notice to proceed on March 2nd, and they, like I said a little bit earlier, it's estimated that construction will be completed within 9 months, which puts it right at December 3rd. But they were confident, they felt confident that they might beat that timeline, so that would be wonderful. A pre-construction meeting was held on March 2nd, and unfortunately we did discover with all of that ice and snow that a water pipe was broken, and there was quite a bit of water, and they had to do some remediation of that, but Public Works responded immediately and took control of that process. What that means is we won't be able to salvage some of the carpet we were going to reuse. It was just removed. So luckily we had all of our items out and had already moved out of the building at that point. So we were lucky in that respect. The Advanced Learning Library, it appeared that there had been possibly an attempted break-in at the west entrance of our public entrance, and we then had a door panel that was repaired because of that.
Wow.
The Technovation door had again fallen off track after it was repaired the first time, not too long ago, about a month or so ago, and has been repaired for a second time. If that doesn't work out, we'll need to be looking at what else we can do with those doors. We did add some frosted film to match existing film in areas needing additional privacy, as well as places where safety is a concern, where customers have repeatedly walked into the glass, not knowing it's glass, thinking it's an open space. So we're hoping to eliminate that issue. We started to see movement on the children's garden construction. Drilling for the permanent steel surface casing started this week. You may, those of you who have been in the parking lot recently may have seen the construction equipment and all in the lot. So that's good news. There may be a little bit of delay with the predicted rain this week, but they're moving on that. As you know, we did reopen March 8th from curbside service back to in-person service at all library locations. Logistics included moving a majority of furniture, the lounge seating and such, into meeting room spaces, and moving a lot of technology equipment in all locations, so we can better handle the in-person and make sure that we're keeping our 6-foot distancing between customers and staff and customers is high priority for us. So that has gone well. We've had a steady stream of customers, not a huge overwhelming response, but that's good that we are able to keep up with getting back into the swing of things, and anticipate that will continue to increase. We've had a few mask issues, but not a lot. Customers are generally complying with those mandates. Our collection development manager, Sarah Kittrell, is tracking the use of our collection and reported today that we've had people check out items in the last week, more items in the last week than we have since March 9th through 15th of 2020. Compared to our busiest week of circulation in 21, February, which was the week of February 22nd, we saw a 77% increase in checkouts last week. We are getting more traction with checkouts of movies and picture books through browsing versus when customers were placing holds on items. So as we anecdotally know, customers prefer to browse themselves and pick their items out. That is true based on the numbers as well. And then some of you may already know or heard Councilmember Claycomb announce when she got on the call today that Jared Cerullo will be sworn in at the Tuesday, March 23rd City Council meeting, as he was chosen today at the City Council meeting to be the City Council District 3 council member. So that concludes my report.
Thank you. Any questions for Christy from the board? Comments or concerns?
Yes.
Jonathan?
Just a question for information. Why are we quarantining books for one day?
In general, why are we quarantining, or
Yes.
We are just being on the safe side. We have been monitoring what other urban libraries are doing as well with their reopening and changes. Honestly, that varies widely depending on the library, but we are also monitoring the scientific information and that comes out, which is stating that while when COVID started, they weren't sure how it was transmitted versus the air or surface transmission. It's looking now like it's not so much surface transmission. If there is even a possibility that it stays on a surface, it would only be a matter of hours probably, but we are trying to make sure that we're doing our due diligence in keeping staff and customers safe. And we'll continue to monitor that information. And at some point, we'll make the decision to end the quarantine of materials. But we're at this point still working with the 24-hour quarantine.
Yes, okay. Have any libraries reported instances of spread that they were sure were due to the surfaces?
No, not that I'm aware of, but I certainly don't know all of the information that's out there, but not to my knowledge. Some libraries are not quarantining. Other libraries are quarantining for 9 days. I mean, it's really a big span of what people are doing. Sarah Kitchell also helps with her. She's on a ULC listserv of collection development staff, and they constantly are talking.
Sarah has her hand raised.
Oh, Sarah.
Can I jump in slightly? So the trend that I am seeing right now is health departments on the East Coast and in San Francisco have recommended libraries quarantine for 24 hours. Other information that came out was at the election in November, they were recommending quarantining paper ballots for 3 hours. So my gut feeling from the research that I did and where libraries are going now is that it may not need to be 24 hours, but people are feeling safe that 24 hours should be okay. And we will continue to monitor what health departments across the country are doing. We'll keep doing research as more research comes out on surfaces. And other libraries have gone to no quarantine and have not reported any problems, but we're at 24 hours now.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Sarah.
It's always good to adopt safe processes.
Right. Yeah. Thank you.
Any other questions, comments, concerns from the board? Very good. Hearing none, I'll conclude. Do want to put into the minutes that the board appreciates all the work that staff has done, particularly in opening up the libraries a week earlier than it was originally intended. I think that the community was very supportive of that. And of course, we did get some very positive feedback from council members as well. So I'd just like for staff to know we appreciate their efforts and pushing it up and getting it done. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Are there any announcements? Okay, I think we're going to be a little bit early today. We are adjourned, and thank you for your time and thank you for your volunteering to serve on the board of directors, and we appreciate it very much. Have a great day.